Hi friends, today we're going to talk about graphing quadratics in factored form and also writing the equations of graphs of quadratics in factored form. We're going to be using the x-intercepts and the vertex to graph. You can see the steps here. So step 1 says factor the equation. This equation's already factored for us. Step 2, find the solutions. So from my equation, I know that x plus 4 is 0. And x minus 2 is 0. So solving these, I would get x is negative 4 and x is positive 2. So I'm going to put those on my graph right away. I know my x-intercepts are at negative 4 and positive 2, but now I need to find my vertex. From last unit, we learned that the vertex and the line of symmetry or axis of symmetry is right in between 2 points. So I need to find the middle part of these 2 points. In order to do that, I'm going to find the average. To find the average of 2 numbers, I add them together and divide by 2. So I'm going to add my x-intercepts together and divide by 2. And I would get negative 1. That's the x value of my vertex. To find the y value, just like we did last unit, we'll take this x value and plug it into the original equation. So instead of x plus 4 and x minus 2, I'm going to use negative 1. Negative 1 plus 4 times negative 1 minus 2, and that gives me a negative 9. So my vertex is at negative 1, negative 9. And now I have my points. Make sure when you connect them that you curve it a little bit. You don't want it to look like a V. So don't just connect it using 2 straight lines. And there is our graph. All right, x squared minus 2x minus 8. Our first step is to factor it. So we're looking for, we have the negative 8 on top, negative 2 on the bottom. So the sides are going to be positive and the negative is going to be bigger. My 2 factors that multiply to 8 and subtract to 2 are 4 and 2. So if I factor this, it would be x plus 2 times x minus 4 equals 0. And then solving it, we'll set both of those equal to 0. And solve those. So x is negative 2. And x is positive 4. So I'm going to put those on my graph. Negative 2 and positive 4. Now to find the vertex, I'm going to find the average of my x-intercepts, negative 2 plus 4 divided by 2. And that gives me 1. For my y value, I'm going to plug it into my original equation. So instead of x squared, I'm going to have 1 squared. Instead of minus 2x, minus 2 times 1, and then minus 8, and that gives me a negative 9. So this vertex is at 1, negative 9. So if I graph that, and then go ahead and connect my points. Don't forget to put arrows because it does go on forever in that direction. All right, this one, 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. To solve this one, we need to use the x and the box method. So a is 2, b is 5, c is negative 3, which means a times c is negative 6. So I'm going to have negative 6 on top. 5 on the bottom. We have a positive and a negative since we're multiplying to a negative, but the positive number has to be bigger. So we want 2 factors that multiply to 6 and subtract to 5, and those are 6 and 1. But now remember, we need to do the box method as well. We have 2x squared negative 8. And then from our x, we have a positive 6x and a negative 1x. Oops, sorry, this isn't negative 8. This is negative 3. There we go. And then we find the GCF of each row in each column. So the GCF of 2x squared and 6x is 2x. GCF of 2x squared and negative 1x is x. GCF of 6x and negative 3 is 3. And the GCF of negative 1 and negative 3 is 1. So those are my factors, 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. And now finding these solutions. 2x minus 1 is 0. X plus 3 is 0. If I solve these, I would get x equals 1/2 or 0.5. And here I would get x equals negative 3. So we have one at negative 3 and one of them at 1/2. Now to find my vertex, I'm going to average my x values. So 0.5 plus negative 3 divided by 2 gives me negative 1.25. And then remember, I'm going to plug that in to the original equation for my y value. So 2 times negative 1.25 squared plus 5 times negative 1.25 minus 3. That gives us negative 6.125. So my vertex is negative 1.25, comma, negative 6.125. We're going to kind of have to estimate where exactly that is. I'm just going to go a little bit past negative 1 and then a little bit past negative 6. And I'm going to estimate that my vertex is right about there. And then I'll go ahead and connect and put my arrows. All right, the second part of today is writing quadratic equations in factored form from looking at the graph. Factored form, recall, is a times x minus r1. R1 is just the root or the solution, x-intercept, and so is R2. So we're going to kind of work backwards from what we just did. So we start by writing our solutions. Here my solutions are negative 5 and positive 1. I know that from looking at my graph. But I need these to be equal to 0. So I'm going to add 5. And then I get x plus 5 is 0. Here I'll subtract 1. X minus 1 is 0. And then I can say x plus 5 times x minus 1 is 0. All right, this one, my x-intercepts are at negative 6 and positive 1. Working backwards and getting these equal to 0, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So x plus 6 is 0. Take 1 from both sides. X minus 1 is 0. So we have x plus 6 times x minus 1 is 0. Then you have to be careful. This graph is upside down. It's opening down, which means I have to have a negative in front. So again, remember, if the graph is opening down, then that means you have to start with a negative. This one, my solutions are at 3 and 9. So x is 3 and x is 9. Taking 3 from both sides, x minus 3 is 0. Taking 9 from both sides, x minus 9 is 0. This graph is opening up, so I don't need to worry about a negative in front. My final answer is x minus 3 times x minus 9 is 0. All right, this one is opening down, so I know my final answer is going to have a negative in front of it. My solutions are at -4 and +2. So x is -4 and x is +2. Getting it to be 0 on the right side, I'll add 4 to both sides. And I get x plus 4 is 0. Subtracting 2 from both sides, x minus 2 is 0. So my final answer is negative x plus 4 times x minus 2 is 0. All right, friends, that's it for today. Have a good day.